I've got one question for you. Are you ready to get your game on?
The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. We are lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. Also, we've got Anywhere is Possible with General Tire. We're rolling on KMC Wheels, and our audio is provided by MTX Audio here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. But I got to tell you, great weekend. Not a ton of racing going on. Had some stadium super trucks, obviously some supercross. You got that Gazelles rally going on. But Walking Dead season finale, I got to tell you, that's what I was tuned into on Sunday night as I was prepping for this radio show, and it did not disappoint. I know we may get into some Walking Dead talk today. I'm just warning you guys, if you're not into the Walking Dead, we may slide that way, especially with one of our guests coming up that I know is a fellow Deadhead. But talking about guests, kicking things off today, we got the First Lady of Short Course, Miss Corry Weller. She's going to be calling in here in just a few minutes. We're going to talk some short course with her and find out what's happening with 2015 in the Weller Racing program. Also, it doesn't get much bigger than our second guest, Tanner Foust. I mean, this guy's going to be running 3 major series this year. Obviously, he's already kicked things off with Lucas Oil. We're going to see him in Formula Drift here in a couple of weeks at Long Beach. And then we have Red Bull Global Rallycross. Tanner going to have his Volkswagen there once again running it in Red Bull GRC for the title. We're going to catch up with Tanner, one of the busiest men on the planet. Not only 3 series, he hosts Top Gear United States. I mean, how much bigger does it get for a guy or how much busier of a schedule can you get? Tanner just, a man that's always on the go and always fun to catch up with him when we get a chance to, just because of everything he's doing and you never know what he's going to be driving, where he's at, where he's calling in from, and always fun with Tanner Foust. So great show lined up today, absolutely great show with Corry, Tanner, and then as always, Ami Houde. She's going to be holding it down the last 30 minutes of the show. We're going to be breaking down Supercross, talking about motocross. And who knows where else it'll go with Ami Houde. And I know she's a zombie fan as well. So, I know 2 out of our 3 guests are definitely zombie fans. I'm just warning you, if you didn't watch The Walking Dead, and you've got it on your DVR, there may be some spoilers. Just an awesome show, and something I got to tell you, I don't get to watch a lot of TV, but that's one of those shows I'm always dialed into. So we'll probably get into that a little bit. But hey, you got any questions for me? At JimBeaver15 on Twitter. Tag me, let me know, hashtag Down and Dirty Show, but tag me at JimBeaver15 on Twitter. Shoot me questions for Corry Weller. If you got any for Ami Houde, you want to talk Supercross, Walking Dead, whatever you want to talk about, Stadium Super Trucks, you shoot them over. We'll get those questions on air today. Shoot them at our guests. It's always fun and love the fan interaction. So, same thing. If you ever got a request for a guest, shoot me a private message on Facebook. Use the contact form on the website. We always try and accommodate the fans, and if there's a will, there's a way. If we can get certain guests on that you're looking for, I'll definitely reach out. But right now, looks like Miss Corry Weller is calling in. How's everything going, Corry? Hey, I gotta ask you first off. I gave a preview. We're not going to jump into racing right away. I know you're a fellow Deadhead. What did you think? Walking Dead season finale.
Yeah, I'm a total Walking Dead fan. I love that show.
Yeah, me too. I just, it was a season finale last night. I'm like, I got to talk about it with Corry because I know she's a fan of The Walking Dead too.
Yeah, totally. I don't know why my son got me into it, but I've been hooked ever since. So yeah. I like the whole zombie post-apocalyptic stuff.
Yeah. So were you happy with the finale? Were you let down? What did you think?
I was happy with it. The last season's finale, and the train car or whatever they were stuck in was pretty good too. But I like this one. I think it's very indicative of where the season's going to go next year. And one of the directors, I watched Talking Dead too. One of the directors said that it's up until now it's been other people that were the danger, and now they're moving on to something else. So
yeah,
no, I think it was a good ending. It didn't leave you really sad or bummed or freaked out. So.
Yeah, definitely some closure, man. And normally there's a big cliffhanger. I thought there's definitely some closure in this one, right?
Yeah, exactly, and I like that better. I get too anxious if it's a bid cliffhanger.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about 2015 and what's happening with Corry Weller. I know SR1s. I know I've heard you're not going to be running the Pro 4 truck, at least I don't know, full time this year. I mean, kind of tell us what's up in 2015 for Corry Weller.
This year we're stepping back from the Pro 4 program. We're going to take a year off. You know, that we ran that program for 3 years. The first year was an arrive and drive, but the last 2 years have been all us. And so it's a tremendous amount of work, especially when you're doing it all yourself, to not only get the truck prepped and ready, but to update it and to make the changes that are necessary, to fix it. At the level that you are in the pro trucks with the sponsorship money that, companies are entrusting you with to represent them properly, it's also been really important for us to make sure that we have all of our spares and that we are well prepared for every race you go to. I don't want to be that person running around borrowing parts from everybody because I didn't get my spares ready or I wasn't thinking ahead. So all of that work just kind of adds up, and so it creates a tremendous amount of pressure and work. On top of that, we also have Weller Racing. And towards the end of last season, the SR1 portion of our business just blew up. We had a ton of orders for new cars and things like that. And Jason was my crew chief all last year. So Jason and I have always had this agreement that every year we'd look at our program and see where we're going. Weller Racing is our bread and butter. It will always come first. And so every year we sit down and we talk and we say, hey, is this truck program, which is my program and I love it, is it affecting Weller Racing in a good way or a bad way? And so every year, up until this last year, it's been in a good way. But because we got so busy with Weller Racing, it started to take away from that. And so we both were at the same conclusion at the end of last year that maybe we needed to just step back. Let's take a year off of the trucks. Let's focus on Weller Racing again. Allow the SR1 class to grow the way it has been. And then we look at our program in 2016. So this year it's all about SR1s. And I've been racing my SR1 all along, even with a truck in a regional series, which also has blown up like crazy. I think I'm racing 20 races this year in the SR1, so I'll still get plenty of seat time and plenty of track time, allowing Jason to focus on racing and get that all, squared away and focus on our customers, and also give us the chance to take a look at what we want to do in 2016 with the truck program. And I think I've realized over the last few years how much of a money classes Pro 4 actually is, and I don't think that I will ever really have the budget for Pro 4. And so we're actually looking at maybe going into the Pro 2 class for 2016. So we have all this year to figure it out and see where we want to go, talk to sponsors, get a truck built if that's the direction we're going to go. And yeah, so it's a lot of good stuff. It's been really nice to kind of take a break and sit back and breathe again and regroup and figure out, again, what we want to do for next year, what's going to fit our budget the best.
Yeah. Well, and talking about sponsorship and, in any class in short courses, it's, expensive to run, but you look at Pro 4 and it's just been nuts. I mean, you have definitely been successful in hunting for sponsorship, but, like both of us know, you could always use a little bit more, right? Do you think being kind of the one of the faces of short course and obviously one of the most competitive women in the series that that has helped you get sponsorship? Has it hurt you, or has it been kind of neutral, or have you just been able to use everybody's got different assets they can draw on to hunt for sponsorship? Is that I mean, how's it been for you in the sponsorship hunt?
It's been really good. Like I said, I kind of came at it whenever I first started racing. I always wanted my results to speak for me, and I wanted to get sponsors based on my performance on the track. And that's always kind of been a goal of mine, being a female, obviously, in a male-dominated sport, sponsorship's all about getting a company exposure and being a standout somehow. I would prefer it to be by being on the podium all the time, but being unique in the sport has also been great for that. So I'll definitely take it. It's cool because I have such a great fan base now that I've grown over the last couple of years being in the trucks. That also, I think, is a big part of, perhaps the attraction, because not only, can I get a company exposure just because I stand out sort of in the series, but also because of the fan base that I have and all the loyal fans I have. And I think it's just a good overall package. Plus, we also have Weller Racing. I'm tied into that as well. So it's kind of a multifaceted package that we can offer. I wasn't getting the results I wanted at all last year, especially. It was a really tough year. So I want to make sure that I can add that as well, because to me, that's the most important thing that I can offer is performance on the track and being on a podium. And sponsors love to see that. It makes them proud and happy to be on your truck, So that's something that I definitely want to fix for the coming year in 2016.
Yeah, well, and talking about taking a step back, I mean, I totally get that completely, especially with the way Weller Racing has exploded, and we'll kind of get into that in a minute. But, you taking a step back, obviously we know, you are a dominating force in SR1 racing. I mean, you and your husband both have pushed, have helped push that class and grow it to where it is. Have your sponsors, I mean, have they been pretty receptive to you taking kind of a year off? I know it looks like Optima stayed on board with you with the SR1 program, and, how's that been?
It's been great. I have the best sponsors. I work with the best people and the best companies, and they've been very loyal, and I definitely value the relationships that we've had over the past years, and that was something that I made sure I talked to every one of my sponsors before we made the decision, to take a break public, and really before we even decided. I wanted to make sure that they were okay with it and that they understood, and that it wasn't going to negatively affect them or their marketing program, that they've invested with me if we didn't step back this year. And no, everybody was on board, and it actually worked out well for quite a few of my sponsors. You go through phases, I think, in companies on budgeting and marketing and things like that. So I think Optima was doing some extra things this year, different series and stuff. So it actually worked out well for them as well to have me take a step back. And they were more than happy to be part of the car so we can continue that relationship and make sure that it's lineal, even though I'm not in the truck. So pretty every sponsor I have that can somehow be tied to UTVs and the SR1 stayed on board. And the few that I had that couldn't, because it was mostly truck related, we're still really close and talking about next year. And, they obviously want to be involved in any way they can that makes sense to them. So it's been great. No, they've been fantastic. I have fantastic sponsors.
Yeah, for sure. Now talking about SR1s, I mean, big news. Obviously, it's blown up at the regional level the past couple of years. I think, when Lucas decided to take it from a national, back to the regional level, I think, it helped explode the growth of, that series. Now, going to Elsinore, you guys are back center stage, at a national event. How was that?
It was really fun. It was really cool to be back in Lourdes. I think I'm one of maybe one or two other drivers that actually raced the National Series back when UTVs were included in it. And so for me, to be, and plus, I'm not there with a truck this year, so it was really nice to be able to be back and see everybody and be there for the first two rounds, drivers meetings and talk to everybody that I'll miss this year. But I think for the drivers in the class too, it was fun for them. It's cool to see where short course can lead to, and the regional series is a huge part of overall short course experience. It's what gets people into short course, and I think it kind of helps to illustrate, like, hey, you can start out here, in total budget class, and you can actually wind up in the big series, and you could even make it an actual career out of this type of thing, if everything lines up and you play your cards right, and luck is in your closet too, I guess. But so it's kind of nice to show that tie-in. Like, here's the regionals, here's where you can start, here's where you can end up. it was cool for a lot of the guys, I think, to see, we're standing in drivers meeting and here's some of their favorite drivers standing right next to them. And so the whole experience was great. And plus just the series itself was really welcoming and they were fantastic to work with. And I think overall it was just a really good experience for everybody. The fans were happy to see the SR1s back. The other racers, I actually got a lot of great feedback from the other racers too. Hey, it was cool to watch you guys run. So glad you can do it and stuff. So, but it's funny because the regionals are such a big series now. There's so many racers in the regionals and so many fans that come out now that it actually felt kind of the same in that aspect as well, as far as turnout and how crowded the pits were and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and talking about SR1s on the national stage, I mean, I've always been one. I mean, I completely appreciate how fast, the SR1s are and what it takes to drive them, because I've actually raced one race in them in the desert. I've always thought that, they have a logical home in the national series. I mean, I know Lucas has won every single year. They take a look at the program and the schedule and decide on what classes are going to be national and what's going to be regional classes. Do you think maybe the door may have been cracked open a little bit to say 2016, possibly seeing them back, even if it's just for a few rounds at the national level?
That would be great. I don't know, what their schedule is like as far as their time to run throughout the day. I know that the first two rounds worked out well for them because it was a night race. So they did have time to fill during the day. I know that day races are a lot more crowded for them as far as fitting things into their schedule. I'd love to see it come back, once or twice a year, or maybe a couple of the local events, the ones here in the West Coast. I think because the SR1 is, it is a grassroots type of a class, it would be difficult to travel and to go places like Reno and Utah. But yeah, I think that it would be great to have them in a couple of the local races. And I don't know what, Richie and them are thinking. I haven't really talked to them yet. I know they're really busy after the race. But that's something that, if they came up and asked us about it, I'd be happy to. I think we've actually talked to most of the class, and it would be something they'd all be willing to do too. Just maybe one or two per year. It would be a cool thing to change up the class, the classes a little bit, and instead of the same classes all the time, you throw in a different one here and there, like they did with the mod carts when they first brought them. And I think that would be great.
Yeah. Well, me just thinking, I'm like, gosh, it'd be cool to see like Elsinore, Glen Helen, and then and then the Arizona track, and do like a 3-race shootout, or something like that. I think it'd be, I think there's some way they could figure it out to accommodate you, even if it was just with all the night races or something. I think it'd be kind of fun.
I would love it, and it would actually work out really well. We have an SR1 championship series that we run within Arizona and California throughout the year, and it would be pretty cool if we had, the 3 rounds, and we could do each of those rounds as an SR1 championship series, and that would be like our pro series, within Lures. No, there's a couple of really cool ways we could work that, but I know they have a handful, so I don't, I don't want to push them or anything, but yeah, if that's something they'd be interested in, I know we'd for sure jump on it.
Yeah. Well, in talking about, Weller Racing and at the regional level and the SR1 class, I mean, you and your husband have been a force behind, this class and driving it forward. And I mean, it's just crazy the amount of entries, that you see in this class now. And, how do you feel about the growth of it? I mean, it's become one of the premier classes at the regional level. It's something everybody looks forward to watching. I mean, you guys have great racing. The cars are so ridiculously fast.
Yeah, it's been really interesting actually, because they, when we first started the class, it grew really quick that first year because a lot of people wanted to be in this series, and they had all these race rhinos and they weren't running anymore. So, creating a class, it grew pretty quickly. And then, I think with the economy and just everything for a few years, it didn't shrink, but it didn't really grow much either. We had some very consistent people in the class. And then over the last couple of years, especially over last year, I think because we've had consistency within the rules, we have not really changed anything over the years. We've kept the rules very strict as far as it being a driver's class and keeping the competition very, very close and trying to keep it an affordable class and not let it grow into, a big money class the way classes tend to do. And I think that maybe that helped a little bit. And so the people that bought into it were confident in what they were buying into, that it wasn't going to change in a year or two and make their car obsolete, you know, and that's always kind of something that you worry about when you buy into a class. So I think that probably had something to do with it. The fun factor is probably a really big part of it, because once you get in and drive one, like you're pretty much hooked. Like, they are so much fun to drive, and they're such a handful. And the power and the thrill that you get out of driving those little cars, you know, for the money that you're spending on it, it's just a really good deal for your money. And then the competition has been great. You know, we've had fantastic drivers getting into the class, and the fact that the class as a whole is very close. We have it's kind of unique. We are all pretty close friends now, because there's such low maintenance cars that we actually have a lot of time at the races to hang out. So we all get to know each other, and we also all help each other get back on the track. If there's somebody that's down or a couple of cars that have been wrecked, like at the last race, everybody jumps in and everybody will offer parts up. And there's really no closed doors or secrets in our class. You know, everybody kind of just wants to help everybody else get as fast as possible, so that we can all get better as drivers as a whole. So it's kind of a unique class in that aspect, and again, just adds to the whole fun factor of everything.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I kind of judge growth. I mean, it seemed like there for a while, you know, every time you go, you know, every time there was an SR1 race in short course, it was Corry Weller, or your husband. I mean, you know, and now I look at it and, you know, you're taking podiums, but you're not winning every event, you know, and I look at it, I go, well, there's growth there, because Corry's no longer on the top of the podium, which, you know, I know it's a bummer for you, but you know, it shows that the competition level is definitely elevated.
It has definitely stepped up. You know, we've got some really fast drivers, and you are only as fast as your competition. So if you know, it's fun when faster people come in. It's fun to win, but it's also more fun as a driver. I want to be challenged on a constant basis, and if you're winning all the time, you're not being challenged constantly. So it's fun to have people come in that you know, have a different style of driving, a better style of driving that you can now learn from. You know, where you thought maybe you knew everything there was to know about it, all of a sudden you realize, oh, I don't. Yeah. So it's cool to have other people, new people come into the class and be that fast and to be that competitive and to show you different lines and, you know, things that you didn't even know you could do with your car, that they're obviously doing, that now you get to figure it out too. So, and I think a lot of people in our class feel the same way, you know, as far as wanting to get better and appreciating the challenge. And they work very hard every week, you know, to learn things and to study people and to try to figure out, you know, what they can, the tiny little change that they could make that could maybe eke out a quarter second here and a quarter second there. And that's kind of where our class has been the last, you know, year. It's definitely a competition. It's gotten really, really tight.
Yeah. Well, and you're in the interesting predicament that, you know, that Weller Racing builds a lot of these cars for a lot of the teams. So you're basically learning all these tricks and then giving your competition, you know, a similar vehicle that you're racing.
Yeah. And that's actually that I think is what separates our class from a lot of classes out there, is the sharing of information and the willingness. Jason will absolutely, you know, he just built Dustin Nelson's, new car that he went out and beat me twice at Elsinore in. And he built that car, and he builds every car the way he would build a car. It's like he's building his own car. Like he has so much pride in what he builds, and he wants to give that customer the very best car that he can possibly give them. So he will build them a car exactly like what he would go out and race in. And, you know, and then he sells it to our competition. But like I said, that's good, because again, if you truly want to go out and be the best, you have to race with people that have the best equipment. They're giving it their all, and then that just makes the competition that much tighter. But he is great at doing that. He absolutely will build a car exactly like his car would be, you know, or better than my car. You know, he'll give them updates that I don't have, or updates that he hasn't had yet. You know, things that we know are going to work better. So it constantly, you know, keeps the competition that close.
Yeah. Well, and talking about him real quick, I mean, he's a heck of a wheelman himself. How often is he able to get in an SR1 and go racing nowadays? Because it seems like he's always building and helping people at the track and troubleshooting and things like that. I mean, does he get a lot of seat time? I mean, is he missing racing a bit?
Yeah, no, he hasn't been in a car. He had just finished a new car, and I think he got a couple of races in it, and Brian McCormick bought it. And so his plan was, okay, well, I'll sell this, and I'll just build a new car. Well, that's about the time all of these new car orders started coming in, and the class started, blowing up. And so he's been on the back of that list for, almost a year now, and he's actually just started building his car. So he's gotten in mine a couple times last year, when I was racing the truck, and I wasn't going to race it, or he needed to check it out and see if he wanted to fix something in it. But he hasn't had much seat time, so I know he's ready to go. But it is difficult for him too. It kind of puts him in an odd position if he's helping people and it's a class that he's helping to spearhead, but yet he's also racing in it. You're not sure how that's perceived by other people that you race with, and I'm sure people don't really have a problem with that, but it is just kind of one of those awkward situations. So he's happy doing what he's doing. He's very happy building cars and giving people I think he lives vicariously through them with the cars he builds them. But he will be happy to get back and race too. It'll be really busy for him because we have my car to prep, which I do most of my own stuff anyway, and he does have other people, he's always helping people at the track. So it's a very busy day for him already. So to throw a car in that as well is going to be hard, but these cars are pretty low maintenance when you don't wreck them. So, hopefully he'll be able to just put oil in it and check the air pressure and run out there and go race. So, but he's looking forward to it. He's missing it.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty gratifying to him. I mean, obviously he loves it when you win, when you take a podium, but, seeing, cars he made himself, up there competing for wins, I mean, that's going to be pretty gratifying for him as well.
He loves it. Yeah, no, that's exciting for him. When he looks up and it's an all-Weller podium, it's all cars that he built. He takes a lot of pride in that. That makes him feel really good. And I think the business and, as a whole, like that's kind of his baby, and that's what he lives to do, and he loves it. So I think he's really fulfilled doing what he's doing. But, there is that little racer part of him that, knows he could get out there and compete with us too. I'm sure he's curious to see. Our class has gotten really fast over the last year or two. So I think, it'll be fun to see where he's at now when he gets his car out there, if he's got to play any catch up or if he's going to be right up there in the mix right away. So.
Yeah, for sure. So, what else is on tap for Corry Weller this year? Obviously, you're running, full SR1 schedule. You're working, hand in hand with your husband at Weller Racing. Anything else on tap for you?
No, that's definitely keeping us really busy. I think we actually had one weekend off this last weekend. It's the first weekend we've really not had to do much in probably a couple months. So, other than I work at the shop now, helping him out. He got, pretty in the weeds with all the new cars and stuff. So that's been really fun for me. No, just, I think we're just now starting the plans on the Pro 2. I think if that's the direction we're going to go, and we do have to make sure that, all our sponsors are on board with that and everybody's on the same page. But I think that'll be our next step for this year. If we get the green light on that is, I think we're looking at building our own chassis and swapping everything over from the Pro 4. And so that'll keep us pretty busy, the last half of the year. So right now I think I'm just going to enjoy my next month or two of just racing and working and until things get really crazy again. But that's about it. No, this is our year off, so we're going to take a break. Yeah,
it'd be nice to have a few weekends here and there to relax, right?
Absolutely. Well, and then you have the shows and, all the off-road stuff. SEMA and Off-Road Expo and, so all of that tends to keep you pretty busy throughout the whole season. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call in, Corry, and obviously you guys are definitely busy there at Weller Racing, but congrats on, the successes in SR1 and looking forward to seeing what's on tap in 2016 for you.
Thank you so much for having me on again. It's always fun to talk to you.
All right. Thanks, Corry. Take it easy.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was Corry Weller, yes, First Lady of Short Course, Lucas Oil racer, and obviously her and her husband spearheaded the SR1 movement, and that class. I mean, at regional level, you saw them at Elsinore. It's just exploding in growth, and I got to tell you, I've had the opportunity to race one SR1 in a desert class, and I've never quite driven a vehicle like an SR1 UTV. Corry, a good friend of mine, her and her husband have more seat time in SR1s than anybody on the planet probably. And, immediately I call Corry, hey, Corry, I'm going to race this SR1. How do you drive it? And I think her response was, does it have a tack in there? And I go, yeah, it's got a tack. And she goes, does it, how far does it read? And I said, like 12,000 RPM. She says, okay. She says, don't let it drop below 10,000 RPM. So I think that is that's the easiest way to explain an SR1 is, you just keep them wound up. And, if you've ever been out to a regional race or if you were at Elsinore, you know what I mean. They just scream, absolutely scream. And, cool to see her successes and, Pro 2, that's huge. Stoked to hear that. And hopefully we see her back in a Pro 2. And, and obviously she's always a podium contender in the SR1s. But, her and her husband, Jason, both just class acts and great people, involved in the off-road community that, have helped the sport grow to where it is. But we're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have Tanner Foust on air, the one, the only Tanner Foust is going to be calling in. We're going to be talking some Formula Drift, some Lucas Oil Off-Road, and a little thing called Red Bull Global Rallycross. So we're going to take a short break, and Tanner will be on air next. And as we go into this break, I got to give a big shout-out to a new partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, Gibson Exhaust, a longtime supporter of my trophy truck program, now involved in the Down and Dirty Radio Show. So very excited to have them a part of the Down and Dirty Radio Show family. And as we go into the break, listen for their new commercial spot. We'll be back in a few minutes here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
I'm Polaris rider Levi LaValle, and I choose Polaris just because they have the best quality, highest performing, most fun machines out there.
Only one company has taken Levi LaValle to 10 X Games medals, snowcross championships, a double backflip, and a world record long jump of 412 feet across the San Diego Harbor on New Year's Eve, and that company is Polaris. Whether it's dominating the X Games, racing a stock Polaris Razor XP1000 in the Terracross Championship, or just hitting the trail on the weekend, for over 20 years, Levi has relied on the same quality Polaris vehicles and products you can purchase at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of action sports legend Levi LaValle and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Rennezetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at kmcwheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com.
Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle. Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZ, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, anywhere as possible with General Tire. We're rolling on some KMC wheels, and our audio is provided by MTX Audio, the official audio partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Just got done with the First Lady of Short Course, Miss Corry Weller, talking about her new plans for 2016 or plans for 2015, and all things Weller Racing. Always great to catch up with Corry, and one of those great personalities behind the sport. And I got to tell you, she is definitely holds her own in short course, and she was talking about results and things like that. And I got to give her a little bit of credit, man. She stepped into Pro 4, out of an SR1, stepped into Pro 4, had a little bit of a learning curve there, but she's taken quite a few podiums there in Pro 4 competition, and anybody that follows short course, likes a Carl Rennezetter, Rob McCachran, Bryce Menzies now, Kyle LeDuc, Todd LeDuc, those aren't any slouches. It definitely is, that and Pro 2, the two premier divisions of off-road short course. And for her to step in there and take a few podiums, that is definitely saying something. And, Corry, in my book, she's welcome in any vehicle in short course she wants to drive. Anybody that can take a podium in Pro 4, I got to tell you, there's people been running around in Pro 4 for years and never taken multiple podiums like Corry has. So tip of the cap to her, and wishing her the best in all her future endeavors, and and their business as well. So always great catching up with her. But speaking of catching up with people, looks like we've got my next guest, Mr. Tanner Foust. He is calling in right now. All right, we are joined on the line by none other than Mr. Tanner Foust. How's everything going, Tanner?
So far, so good. It's 2015 is promising to be a pretty busy year, and the fun's kind of already started. So yeah, it's going good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about before we lead into these big announcements you had for 2015. Let's go back a year and talk about 2014. Obviously, big deal coming out of your camp. It was the Andretti announcement, the switch to Volkswagen, and obviously we learned last year those cars are lightning quick.
Yeah, well, Andretti did some magic with those polos. Those were kind of older spec polos from the Markland team in Europe. And they were basically handed these cars with some old tech and old thinking and not really knowing how much time was on the different parts. And these parts in these 600 horsepower cars, some of them only last 3 events. So you need to know how many events the differentials in the transmission and the engine have had. And Andretti went in there with nothing and really made those cars work. They weren't the most consistent, and I struggled sometimes. Scott struggled sometimes, but ultimately I didn't have the best championship points running after a good first weekend in Barbados and one win in New York. Ultimately, just wasn't in the fight, so I got to test the Beetle, which was really in preparation for this year.
Yeah, well, and talking about this year, I mean, obviously everybody knew you were going to be back in Global Rallycross this year. But, I know you dabbled a little bit in Pro 2 last year. You come back, you make this announcement. Obviously, you're going to do some Pro 2s, teaming up with, my friend Rob McCackern, which is a solid program. And then coming back to Formula Drift, I think that caught everyone by surprise.
Well, there's, working with Volkswagen, we want to be involved in I'd like to be involved in more than, just one platform of the brand. And they've got a lot of great cars and there's a lot of great stories there. And it's not quite as plugged into some of the, other action-y disciplines of motorsport out there, like drifting and off-road trucks. And so drifting was an opportunity to kind of expose VW to something they'd never really done before. Just like GRC was an opportunity to expose VW to, a 600 horsepower Beetle. And so it's been fun to dabble in those. I'm still focused on the GRC championship as, the core, but jumping into those different disciplines, it's awesome, honestly, to go back into drifting and get into touch with those, that cool fan base that drifting has. So I'm really looking forward to that. But we are drifting a 900 horsepower Passat, so it's definitely an out-of-the-box kind of sport.
Yeah, well, and talking about, Formula Drift, that sport, I know talking with Forsberg and Vaughn and Turk and some of those guys that have been around since the start, I mean, you look through the record books and you're still one of the winningest drivers in Formula Drift, but talk a little bit about how that sport's changed because, I mean, just literally in the past couple of years, I mean, much like, GRC, they have brought everything up a notch. I mean, it literally, the technology and everything that goes into those cars, I mean, it started where it was kind of a run what you brung, but I mean, they've got engineering teams and everything else there at the track, and those cars are every bit as advanced as any other form of motorsport.
Well, yeah, there's been a steady progression, I think, and from the very first year, the 350Z that we ran was nearly stock with an APR twin turbo kit. I mean, obviously it has power and handbrake and all the key essentials, but chassis-wise was basically stock, and things really progressed. What I always liked about the sport is the variety of cars. And when we went with the Scion, we had the chance to put a NASCAR engine in there from TRD, and that was kind of cool. And, you'll see just the most ridiculous cars lined up at the start of the Formula D event, which is cool. And then, but now there's such an emphasis on steering angle. There's the car in driving the Passat and testing it. It has so much steering angle. It's almost twice the angle that the car I drove back in 2010 had. And there's much more emphasis on angle through the course than, speed. I don't even think speed is counted in the judging, which back in the day, it was really about commitment and entry speed and coming at the wall with high speed, and not so much on carrying a big angle around the course. So there's differences. Judges are looking for different things. Going tandem with the cars, which now, by the way, have like twice as much horsepower as they used to. it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt, but still burning some tires and having fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be kind of cool going back to some of the old stomping grounds. I guess with Formula Drift and seeing a lot of the same faces still involved in the series, and I think it's going to be awesome bringing Volkswagen, a new manufacturer, to this sport, and and good luck with that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun come Long Beach.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I mean, Long Beach is a tricky little track, just concrete walls. Of course, it uses turn 9 to 11 of the Grand Prix course, but it must be 10 years now during Long Beach that drifting's been involved there, and maybe 11 years. So it's been going on for a long time, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to have a big pit presence. I'm not going to have a giant team. I'm going to come in with kind of a small rig and a car and a small group of guys that I used to work with, and but spend a lot of time with the fans and getting reconnected with that group of fans that follows drifting around, which are a really cool group of people.
Yeah. Well, and it's had to been kind of cool for you because, obviously you've done stage rally, you've done Formula Drift, you've done, GRC, and many other things, the Top Gear presence, and now, Lucas Oil, and you've been able to kind of bring your fan base around, around you through all these different venues. And it's got to be kind of exciting for you to have them, follow you to these new endeavors of yours.
It used to be, it's funny you mention that. Again, it used to be really separated. I'd go to a drift event and, because I did drifting and stage rally at the same time for 8 years. And the drift events would be, one group, and I'd see familiar faces from the other drift events. And then the stage rally was another group. And then sometimes at X Games, they would come together. And it was always kind of interesting to see the different groups come together. But now with Top Gear out there, there's a real common denominator, and it's whether it's Lucas off-road racing or now the drifting this year, but rallycross, even if it's in Europe, or X Games, there's the people that I talk to, the vast majority of them are Top Gear fans, and so it's kind of this one group that I get to kind of hang out with and talk to. About the show and about the motorsport and stuff like that. And it's really, Top Gear really has changed things in that respect. And this last Lucas weekend, last weekend that we raced down at Elsinore, first of all, I think it was the biggest ticket sales I've ever had. I think it was like 12,000 people and they only seat 5,000. I don't know how that worked out, but there are so many Top Gear fans there. It was awesome just to see that crowd coming into a new venue that maybe they'd never been to before.
Yeah. Well, and talk about that, in Elsinore. Pro 2, obviously, you've got a lot of experience in rear-wheel drive with the drift, but talk about that, because I know last year, you had some hiccups. You're jumping into a solid program with Rob McCachran, one of the elite-level teams in Lucas, but seems like you really, you came into your own this past round. I think, you had a top, a 10th and a 7th. Pro 2, that's one of the toughest divisions in short course. You kind of threw yourself to the wolves, but you're holding your own. How did things kind of come around at Elsinore?
It's, I've done a few weekends with this truck, and we've always had this engine problem. We couldn't get it to run after the jumps, and it was maybe a technique thing. We thought, when you're in the air, which you're in the air a lot of the time in the track, and when you're at that kind of 0G flying point, you really have to keep the engine running with a little bit of help on the throttle. And I thought maybe my technique wasn't keeping it running, and I struggled every time. But this weekend we found an issue with the fuel system, and now the truck is running the whole way around the track, and it's awesome. And so I really felt like I could go ahead and focus on how to get time around the track. And I'm still off the back with the time. I'm still a second down at least. But it's a matter of the off-roadiness now. It's a matter of working with the ruts and taking a visual map of where the bumps are and where the ruts are every single, the very first lap you get out there every single time. And those guys, McCachran and Renizenter and Deegan and Bryce, those guys are so good at picking out the little ruts and pieces of grip their very first time around the track each session, because the track changes all day. And so you have to take a a little measurement of it the first time you see it, and then they click off identical laps, even with all the chaos of the ruts and the slippery spots on the track, like the machines. It's awesome to see. I just need some seat time, but this weekend was so fun to really get on the steeper side of the learning curve and get it. It's also a matter of getting your system down, because the trucks land so hard that if the seat is really made for Rob and seat belts and stuff, and I don't really have the right off-road head restraint system, and so it's putting all those things together, I think, before we can really be consistently quick. I certainly have a lot to learn before I can be quick, but man, the better it gets, the more fun it is.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to see you running a few rounds of Lucas this year. Obviously, we know not the full series, but you're definitely going to try and hit up a few of the rounds, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do at least 2 or 3. I mean, I've only done the Elsinore track, and it has the hugest jumps. I mean, there's one jump that you're doing almost 200 feet every lap. There's 2 other jumps where you're doing like 120 to 140 feet every lap. So you take some brutal landings. That's when you're by yourself. Then you get into the mix when, and I got pretty comfortable throwing the tear-offs off this time, which is good. It's the little triumphs, Jim, where it's like everybody else is used to doing tear-offs because they've been doing motocross since they were like 4. And for me, it's a little win if I get the tear-off the first time I reach for it in the air. So it's baby steps. But man, when you're going door to door off these massive jumps and you have a little contact right before you leave the ramp and you're turning sideways in the air and you're grabbing a tear off and you're stuffing your Hans device back underneath the seatbelt, and I mean, there's so much going on inside the truck. It's just awesome.
Well, and you got to think that, obviously, your door-to-door in GRC has definitely helped with the competition factor in the Lucas Series.
Yeah, I mean, I like door-to-door racing, and coming from a bit of a road racing background in the beginning of my career, I do miss it. I will say that the driving is a lot cleaner in off-road truck. I mean, excuse the pun, but in the off-road truck racing, it is cleaner. In GRC, it seems like if there's a car next to you, it's going to hit you at some point. You're going to feel it. But with the truck racing, they really try not to push into each other much. I think they get a black flag very quickly if they do, because it's so easy to turn somebody around on the dirt. That if it happens, you get penalized pretty quick. And I'd like to see that move into GRC. It'd be nice if GRC had a little more stiff penalties for messing up other people's races.
Yeah. Well, and talking about, about GRC and looking at the 2015 season, I think, 2014 for the series as a whole was kind of a turning point. I think, there for a while it was, over the first couple of years, it was kind of figuring out, where they wanted to be and what, Rallycross in America was. And I think, they kind of got it dialed in last year, and it's got to kind of have you excited for 2015, because it seems like, 2014, the series as a whole kind of went out on a high note.
Yeah, it was, well, for us, it was, getting the Beetle out there and shaking the Beetle down. I mean, VW built a great car, and in Rallycross, as I've said before, is one of these sports that you just can't test in a vacuum. You really need, in order to get a real test of the car's abilities, you need to put it in battle and see how it responds to getting pushed by somebody else, or see, how tough it is there, or the jumps. There's lots of variables that need to be tested on track. And so we utilized 2014 well, I think, in having that battle testing. The car has been completely redeveloped over the winter, and so we'll have very updated versions of the Beetle that will be more battle ready in 15. So I think it was, like I said, incredibly productive of the way that 2014 went down. On the series side of things, to your point, yeah, I think it's growing up quickly. From a marketing standpoint, from a sales standpoint, it's certainly checking the boxes. And I think it's moving more and more towards where we want it to be in a competitive standpoint also, with the rules and regulations and scrutiny between the cars and, and on-track penalties and getting identify really where the balance is between demolition derby and racing and finding there. So I think it's honing in on it. I'm looking forward to this year.
Well, and I know, you as a competitor, I mean, you're one of those guys, you always like a high competition level, I think, there the first couple of years, if you weren't in, in Oldsburg Forge, you really didn't have a chance. And I think as we saw last year and then coming into this year and now with Ganassi making their announcement, it went from maybe 3 or 4 drivers that could win to possibly 8, 8 different drivers on track that has a shot at a win. And you as a driver, I mean, it's got to be pretty cool to see that competition level and that bar raised. And a lot of that was in part to you and Scott and the Andretti announcement going back to the beginning of last year.
Yeah, we've been pushing. We've had driver alliances where we've, gotten together and tried to raise the competition level. A lot of people have been pushing for a long time to tighten up the racing. It's a gray area. It's a difficult thing to do, and I feel for the organizers in that because it's the only FIA sport where there's no penalty for contact, and between cars, and and so there is a gray area there. And then you take into the U.S. where most of our races in the U.S. are on tarmac, where contact between cars, rather than just kind of pushing the car and sliding cars out of the way, the force goes actually into the car because there's more grip on the road. And so contact basically causes more damage on pavement than it does on gravel. And so you get, a lot of damage between cars. It's fundamentally, I think the racing's getting better and better, and the drivers are all getting better and better, and the cars are getting better. Certainly the teams are. And so I think the organizers are matching that.
Yeah. Any specific event this year you're looking forward to? Obviously, you've been kind of one of the staples in the series, going back to almost the start. Any particular tracks that kind of cater to your driving? I mean, you're pretty excited with the mix. You like to see a little more dirt. I mean, kind of talk about the diversity of the tracks you guys are running and what caters to Tanner Foust.
Well, I think the Seattle race was a great one, for my style anyway. It's very easy to adapt to dirt. For me, the Barbados track is awesome because of the location and because it's an actual racetrack. And there's some good speed there. But there's things about them I like. And so I'm just down. For me, it's the biggest change. I'll be doing some of the world rounds also, which are on bias ply tires. And the biggest change for me in the U.S. is working with the radial tires, where the car has to be much more straight, really cannot slide at all. And so that's what I tend to do during the weekend is really focusing on getting the most out of the radial tire. It doesn't sound like much, a difference between this tire and that tire construction, but it's night and day in how the cars have to be driven. So I really enjoy that challenge of coming to one race and, being completely focused on exactly how that car has to be driven, and then go to a drift event and be focused on how that car has to be driven and so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to getting back into Beaver. It's an incredible little machine, and getting back into the radial tire world and getting some speed out of that car.
Yeah. Well, and talking, you mentioned there that you're going to go and run, the World Championship a few rounds there. I mean, how has the reception been? I mean, as an American going over and running the European rounds, obviously, you've done it. There's been a couple other drivers that have done it, but you were, pretty much the first that went over there and said, hey, I want to compete with the Europeans. I mean, how's that reception been?
It was, when I first went over there, it was a time ago. I think it was 2010. And the sport was in a different place, Nobody in the U.S. had ever really talked about rallycross. And if they did, they visualized like 800 horsepower Volvos, sliding around in the dirt. And but it was a different place. It was mostly private teams. There were only a couple unprofessional teams there. Nobody really had ever put a GoPro on their car and collected some content. And but it was such a visually stimulating, kind of amazing sport that I couldn't help but gather a bunch of video on GoPros and stuff. And so I think they more thought that was weird that I was had GoPros on the car than being American. And then when I started winning rounds, then it was a good thing. I was really proud. On the 4th of July, I won a round in Sweden, which was, at the time was the biggest round in the series. And, I really felt a little bit of national pride there, being the only American to run in the series. It was the year before last that Deegan came over and did one round in Finland. And I ended up winning that one. So, it was, Americans we had a good showing between the two of us. And then Ken has done a couple rounds last year. So now, yeah, like you said, they've seen a few American flags there. The tracks. The funny thing is, they have a line of flags representing, all the drivers that are there. The tracks have to scramble and go find an American flag somewhere to put up there whenever one of us comes over there, because, it's been 47 years of not having any Americans compete over there ever. So it's really kind of a fun thing, actually.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. And we got to talk a minute before I let you go. You know what? One of your big things that kind of ties everything together, like you were saying with your fan base, Top Gear. I mean, obviously, you're back with Top Gear for another season. I got to tell you, you guys have a lot of fun on that show.
We do. And that, that's been sort of a mantra lately, is just keeping driving fun. And that's, automated cars they have a place, but it scares me that, we're going to not have this fun of driving that a lot of us have made a living out of, the fact that driving is fun. And Top Gear is just one of those shows that, it's about the fun of driving. It happens to be three jackasses that are, beating up on each other the whole time, I guess. But what we're doing is just fun stuff. And, I really, I also like being able to bring like rallycross or drifting or other things that are fun about driving and bring them into the show, integrate them into the show, which we've gotten to do a lot of in the last couple of years. But I'm looking forward to getting back on set with those guys, and beating on some cars. The stuff we have lined up this year is really cool, actually.
Yeah, well, and I got to ask you, got to put you on the spot, because it's been a year, and last year about this time we kind of did a GRC preview, and talked about the Andretti announcement. And I asked what has been the most fun car you've driven, whether it be Top Gear or stunt driving or anything else. And last year at this time it was a Bugatti. Has that changed?
Well, on Top Gear, the most fun car that I driven was a Ferrari F12. That was insane. PCH, we had the road closed down, drifting and all sorts of stuff. But I will tell you, yesterday, for the first time, I went out to Willow Springs and I tested my new 900 horsepower Passat, and it makes so much grip and has so much power. And it has this insane header system where the headers actually, because of the rules, you can't move the engine back into the firewall. Mm-hmm. So there's not enough room for the exhaust through the tunnel there. So the actual headers come forward into this like snake spiral near the front bumper. And Papadakis, who built it, did an amazing job on the exhaust. And it just screams this in the sound and the drifting and the power and everything. I mean, so yesterday that Passat was the most fun. I can officially say the most fun I've had in a car this year was in a Passat.
And I got to say, I'm looking forward to the Passat just because it's so out of the box. I mean, like you said, you're not expecting a 900 horsepower Passat, but I got to tell you, high horsepower Mustangs, Camaros, you're kind of used to seeing that. Passat, it's definitely going to catch some people's attention.
Yes, it could be the only one that you see this year. That's right. You'll see a lot of 1,000 horsepower muscle cars, but probably not many, 900 horsepower Passats. Yes.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time for an interview. I know you're awful busy running multiple series, with Top Gear and everything else. But as always, you're always welcome on the show, and I appreciate it, Tanner.
Great to catch up, Jim. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy. Always fun catching up with Mr. Tanner Foust. Just another guy that's just a class act, but he, it's all about making driving fun, right? Isn't that what he said? He has a ton of fun. Let me tell you, he's living the dream. You want to talk about living the dream? Tanner Foust is definitely living the dream. Formula Drift, Lucas Oil Short Course, Global Rallycross. You want to talk action motorsports? Tanner Foust is action motorsports. I mean, this guy, if it's if it has four wheels and a steering wheel, he's behind the wheel of it. He has a ton of fun, just a cool guy. And if you ever get a chance to meet him out at the races, definitely swing by. And he's fun to talk cars with, I got to tell you. I've had the opportunity and, off the air to just talk cars with Tanner Foust in person. And, you want to talk about car people. I'm a car person. If you're listening to this show, you might be a bike person or a snowmobile person, but chances are you're a car person too. Tanner Foust is definitely a car person. And obviously, he's got a great relationship with Volkswagen, but this guy just loves cars and everything about them. And it's always fun to talk cars with Tanner Foust. And, in Top Gear, he gets to have a lot of fun in cars and do things that most of us would just dream of doing, and gets paid to do it on Top Gear. But Tanner become a good friend of mine, and always fun to catch up with him. And we'll definitely have to keep tabs on what he's got going this year. I mean, he's got so much in so many different series, and me personally, I'm definitely looking forward to Formula Drift, Long Beach, seeing the kickoff. Seeing him there in the 900 horsepower Passat, and I got to tell you, people forget. Tanner did all those years in stage rally. He's successful there. But Formula Drift, he is still one of the most winning drivers in Formula Drift history. I should have pulled it up. I can do it in the break. I believe it's 7 wins in Formula Drift. He's up there with Von Gittin Jr., Reese Millen, guys like that. I mean, he's on the short list. You want to talk about guys who have defined Formula Drift over the past decade. Obviously, we're year number 11, starting in year number 11 in Formula Drift, but Tanner Foust has defined drifting. Obviously, stepped away the past couple of years to do Global Rallycross, Top Gear, World RX, doing a little short course racing. But Tanner truly did, in the early days, and he helped define Formula Drift into what it is today. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that, because he's kind of stepped away from it. But I mean, he truly was, one of the first faces of Formula Drift, and helped take that sport to the level it is today. And I think a lot of people forget about that. But that being said, we are going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we've got some Polaris RZR UTV news, talking some WORCS results, and some other stuff that's happening in the Polaris RZR world. We'll also have Stadium Super Trucks results from St. Petersburg, Florida. We're going to be talking about the Gazelles Rally, and the Nora Mexican 1000 had some big blockbuster announcements. So all that is coming up next here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Come Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker and a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Looking to upgrade the brake system on your race car, pre-runner, or weekend toy? J-Mar Performance Brake Systems has you covered. An industry leader in performance braking systems, J-Mar can outfit your vehicle with the highest quality American-made calipers, rotors, master cylinders, hubs, turning brakes, and shifters for Volkswagens to trophy trucks and everything in between. For more information and their full product line, visit J-Mar on the web at jmarperformance.com or follow them on Instagram and Twitter at J-Mar Brakes. Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XD Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XD Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, anywhere as possible with General Tire, rolling on KMC Wheels, and MTX Audio, the official audio partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. I am your host, Jim Beaver, and talk about a rockin' first hour here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Corry Weller, the First Lady of Short Course, Tanner Foust, the man, the myth, the legend. We've had them all on air, and we're just fired up to kick off hour number 2 here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. We're going to jump into some Polaris Razor UTV news, some SST from St. Petersburg, talk about some Nora, some Gazelles Rally, and then that leads us into Miss Ami Houde, who's going to be covering Supercross in our KMC Wheels Supercross segment. All that coming up this hour here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. But right now, that leads us to some Polaris Razor UTV news, brought to you by our good friends and partners over at Polaris Razor. And this weekend, lots happening in the UTV world, and a couple of major events, some big deliveries by none other than the Godfrey clan up there in Utah, and we'll jump into all that. But got to say, one of my favorite UTV races of the year, it's always the WORCS race in Lake Havasu City. It's run right on the lake. It's an absolute amazing track. A lot of you that follow UTV racing know they have what they call the lagoon jump. Literally, the guys jump over part of the lake in their UTVs. Obviously, the bikes and quads do that as well. But we're here covering the UTVs. But, those guys it's pretty cool to see them sail literally over a portion of the lake. Makes for some amazing photography, some videos, and stuff like that. And always just one of my favorite races of the year. Partly, in fact, that it's only 45 minutes from my house. But it was all going down Lake Havasu City, Arizona, right there on the lake. And Mitch Guthrie in that amazing Nelson & Nelson built single-seat UTV Polaris RZR ended up taking the victory in the pro class. This amazing offset chassis or offset roll cage. You got to check that out. They have the full feature right up there at utvunderground.com. But it's pretty amazing, man. This car, the technology in these Polaris RZRs has gone through the roof, and the UTV Pro class, pretty amazing what these guys are stepping up with. But congrats goes out to Mitch Guthrie, and also 2 wins for Mitch Guthrie at the WORCS race in Lake Havasu. Not only taking the Pro class win, also won the production class that he raced in as well. So double wins for Mitch Guthrie Jr. And this kid on a roll, man, taking home King of the Hammers win. He is. You talk about RJ Anderson, Mitch Guthrie. He's another one. He's a young gun, and he's going to make a name for himself in this industry. You watch him, and just dominating the pro ranks in UTV racing this year. It's pretty impressive. And I'm looking at these guys going, I got to go Terracross racing here in. Starting in June, and I'm going to be thrown to the wolves here. Mitch Guthrie Jr., R.J. Anderson, and then you mix in Levi LaValle and Jeremy McGrath and Chad Ragland and all these other guys. I'm going, man, this is going to be a stacked field in Terracross. But Mitch Guthrie making his presence known at the WORCS race. Also, another major event happening: the Texas Mud Nationals, High Lifter Mud Nationals. Polaris RZR, big sponsor of that, and it's more of a just an industry event. Everybody gets together and stuff like that. But you got to check over utvunderground.com. Our friends over there had full coverage of the Texas Mud Nationals. But, we see a lot of short course and desert racing cars out here on the West Coast. But the farther you move east, Polaris RZRs take on a little bit different form. And they had some pretty wild rides at the Texas Mud Nationals. I got to tell you, so much so that Polaris actually brought out their High Lifter UTV. They've got a Desert Edition RZR XP 1000. They've got a High Lifter edition, more made for more mud and bigger tires, sits taller, a lot more ground clearance. So definitely check that out. But Texas Mud Nationals happening. That is all that coverage is over at utvunderground.com. And then also I saw on social media today our good friends the Godfrey clan taking delivery of 4 brand new RZR XP 1000s, and that's got to make you a little nervous, seeing the Godfreys with 4 XP 1000s. You know those Godfreys of Nitro Circus fame, and if they've got 4 XP 1000s, they got plans for them. And I know one of the plans, Tanner Godfrey, he's going to try and break R.J. Anderson's world record distance jump. I need to reach out to the Godfreys once again, find out what's going on with that, because I know it's coming up in the next couple of months. But those Godfreys, 4 Polaris RZR XP 1000s, I think the easiest thing to say is watch this space, because you never know what's going to happen, but they've got plans for them, that's for sure. And also, as we close out this Polaris RZR UTV news segment, got to give a big shout out to Polaris RZR. Right now, their XP sales event is going on right now, up to $1,000 in rebates and 2.99% financing on your favorite Polaris RZR products. So skip over to Polaris.com. Check out those vehicles. Get a hold of your local dealer. If you're going to buy one, now is the time. And this has been your Polaris RZR UTV news for this week. And speaking of that, we're going to roll right into some Stadium Super Trucks coverage. SST, the series going down right now in St. Petersburg, Florida, tying in with the IndyCar race at St. Petersburg Grand Prix, running a doubleheader there. I gotta give it to Sheldon Creed. The boy took the win there, knocking Keegan Kincaid down to second. So your first race at St. Petersburg, it was Sheldon Creed, Keegan Kincaid, Robbie Gordon in third. We had E.J. Viso in fourth, Burt Jenner in fifth, followed up by Bill Hines, Charles Dorrance, we know him from the desert racing side of things, Lalo Laguna, Eric Davis, and Scotty Steele rounding out your top 10. And then going into the second race, bit of a surprise winner, Burt Jenner scoring his first ever career Stadium Super Truck win in St. Petersburg. I got to tell you, I didn't see that one coming. Burt always fast, but I really didn't see him picking up a victory in this stacked field. But it was a great run for Burt Jenner. Keegan Kincaid taking home that second, and Robbie Gordon finishing up in third. Creed finished fourth, Viso fifth, and I got to give a shout out Creed and Viso. These guys in the first race and the second race, these guys door to door banging, bumping, long straights, absolutely fender to fender. These guys battled each other 2 races in a row, absolutely almost battled each other to the death. That's why they finished fourth and fifth. They were racing each other so hard, they allowed Keegan and Robbie to slip by. These 2 guys definitely battling it out, but finishing up fourth and fifth. And, it was a pretty wild race there in St. Petersburg. Next up, San Diego on the calendar here in a couple of weeks. So looking forward to those races in San Diego. Always good ones there. Skipping over to some Gazelles rally coverage. Right now, it's the road to Morocco, and I don't have complete, exact, up-to-date results, but remember the Gazelles Rally, kind of the all-female version of Dakar, but it's all about navigation and navigating the terrain. Pretty interesting layout and format. Lots of American teams. Got to give a shout-out to our good friend Ami Houde, who's kind of helped the American contingent, and bring light to this event here in the United States. But four-wheel drive rankings, the team of this is through leg 3. Are going into leg 3. So this is these results are a day old, but we had Hone and Hone 13th overall in 4x4. We had a lot of Jessie Coombs. She finished up she was in 19th. Then looking over to the crossover rankings, team of Chrissy Beavis and Allie Ronick from ESPN. A lot of you know her. She's actually leading the crossover rankings at the moment. And then we had Sarah Price on air a few weeks back in her side by side. She's in 9th, and then Lerner and Howells in the expert rankings there in 8th. Interesting note on Price and Sachs, the team of Price and Sachs. They didn't get to go on the prologue stage. I guess a snowstorm in the mountains. Their semi that hauled their vehicle didn't get it there in time. Got snowed in, so they got the car late. Missed the prologue. Doesn't sound like it was their fault. It was just weather coming in. You were talking about sand dunes and everything else, and then you talk about a snowstorm, right? Well, go figure. Anything can happen at the Gazelles just as it does at Dakar. I guess. And then they had some problems navigating. Made a wrong turn. Ran out of gas. Spent the night out in the dunes at one point. But I guess they're back on road now and looks like doing pretty good today. They were in 9th in side-by-side rankings. So, it's pretty interesting stuff to follow this along. Got a couple of stages left, but Emmy, she's writing a blog on this with all the results at tflcar.com. Or you can definitely look up the official Gazelles Rally website. They've got live tracking of the event, but always good stuff. NORA Mexican 1000, big news coming out of the NORA 1000, partnering up with not only Ultra 4 Racing. Ultra 4s are going to be in the house at the Mexican 1000, but Robbie Gordon announcing Pro Unlimited, going to be bringing trophy trucks and Class 1 cars, it sounds, to the NORA Mexican 1000. They're going to start ahead of everyone else. $50,000 winner-take-all purse. There's not even a minimum amount of entries. You just put up $50,000 and saying, hey, let's run to the bottom of the peninsula and see who's fastest. So Robbie Gordon trying to raise the bar once again with the NORA Mexican 1000. I'm going to reach out to our good friend Marty Fioca, who is kind of the publicist of the General Tire NORA Mexican 1000, and see if we can get him on air to shed some light on all things NORA in the upcoming weeks. But lots of good stuff coming out of there as we get closer to that rally. And not only that, but a big announcement coming out of Formula Drift. Them and Ford teaming up, once again, Ford renewing their relationship with Formula Drift, stepping in once again as a major sponsor of the series, even upping their level. They're going to have a new Ford Media Center at all Formula Drift rounds, like a roaming, looks like a semi with I guess, hospitality, Wi-Fi, high-speed internet. Pretty cool stuff. All that news is over at Formula Drift's website, formuladcom. But Ford renewing their relationship with them, also renewing their sponsorship with with Von Gittin Jr., as well as JTP Justin Pollock. So all good things. Another manufacturer staying involved in Formula Drift, liking what they're seeing. So that's always good news to see sponsors re-up and renew relationships, on the Action Motorsports side of thing. So, if that wasn't a quick enough rundown of the news, I don't know, we crammed a lot there into a short segment, and that leads us into a quick commercial break. When we come back, Ami Houde, she's going to be calling in, and we're going to be commercial-free for the last half hour, and we're going to be talking a lot of Supercross and maybe some KMC Wheels Fantasy Supercross as well, and catching up with Miss Ami Houde here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hey, I'm RJ Anderson, factory Polaris driver, and I drive Polaris because it's the most capable, race-ready off-road vehicle on the market.
When RJ Anderson wanted to set a world record for the longest UTV jump in history, not once but twice, what company did he trust? Polaris and their championship-winning RZR XP1000. RJ is a UTV champion behind the wheel of Polaris vehicles, and he exclusively trusts the Polaris RZRs to bring him race wins and championships against some of the toughest off-road racers in the world. The same Polaris RZRs RJ has won championships in, set world records in, and conquered the Wall of Death in XP1K2 are available to you at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of world record holder RJ Anderson and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris RZR vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally. Did you know that Parker Motor Company is one of the best places to shop for new tires for your car or truck? With a full tire shop and advanced equipment, we can outfit your vehicle with over 13 brands of tires, including Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Yokohama, Falcon, and General. We offer a low price guarantee that will meet or beat any competitor's price. We'll check your alignment for free, and we also offer tire care for any road hazards you may come across. If you need new tires, Parker Motor Company is your only choice. Parker Motor Company, your hometown Ford and Lincoln dealer.
Looking to have some screen printing, embroidery, or design work done? Intense Tees has you covered. Intense Tees provides the highest quality and detail for custom screen printing and embroidery services for corporations, schools, race teams, and all organizations alike. Complete line creation, including designing of an entire corporate identity, product line creation, support promotions, product packaging, exciting banners, polos, tees, sweatshirts, caps, and vinyl decals. Intense Tees is the official apparel provider for the Down and Dirty Off-Road Show. Find out more on the web at www.intensetees.com. That's www.intensetees.com.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners and for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies, adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and man, it's been a banging show today. None other than Corry Weller, Tanner Foust in the house, which leads me to my next guest, who should be calling in just a minute, Miss Ami Houde. We're going to be breaking down some Supercross action here in just a little bit, and another awesome event there in St. Louis. And I got to tell you, though, Dungy, Muskin, these boys are on an absolute roll, and this coverage of Supercross that we're about ready to jump into, brought to you by our good friends at KMC Wheels, who are also sponsors of the KMC Wheels Fantasy Supercross Challenge that the Down and Dirty Radio Show has been putting on. And I got to say, I appreciate all of you guys. We got, I'm going to look here, 337 entries into KMC Wheels Fantasy Supercross so far. It's been absolutely mind-blowing, the turnout we've had for Fantasy Supercross, and all you guys competing for a brand new set of KMC Wheels. But right now, it's been a few guys at the top at the leaderboards most of the year. Debert 520, he is on top right now, 7,724 points. Zeke 1512, 7693. We got IRK Man 524, he's in third. Aaron H 731 in fourth, and B Zaney in fifth. You guys are all competing for that KMC Wheels set, and things are getting interesting now because we're dropping rounds, and it's best of 11. We've gone over 11 rounds, so dropping the lowest scores each and every week. We're seeing stuff shuffle around up at the top. It's been pretty interesting. I got to tell you, results for KMC Wheels Supercross is Fantasy Supercross has been a little bit more exciting than the real racing, because Supercross has been the same usual suspects week in, week out for the past month, pretty much. Been pretty crazy. But right now we're going to get Ami Houde chime in here. How's everything going, Amy?
Hey, how's it going?
Things are good on this end. I got to tell you, I'm getting messages as we speak. I'm talking about, KMC Wheels Fantasy Supercross and stuff like that. And they said, you got to give Amy some crap. They're like, because she's tied for dead last in the Supercross League.
I know. I'm terrible because I'm on the road. And if I go to try, usually like Saturday, I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to go log in. And you close your thing on Saturday. So usually I'm either on the road and totally forget, or when I do, it's closed. So yes, I suck. But I've been keeping track myself, and I've been pretty good at guessing who's who. So, now it's becoming a pretty regular lineup on who's going to finish first, second, and third. So, but I do have to say, I was thinking about this on my drive here today. You guys have to send me an updated list of weekly winners so that I can send out my $25 Motorcycle Superstore gift card. They're still waiting for your names and mailing addresses. So if you're a winner, somehow we got to get in contact with you and get you out your $25 gift certificate for Motorcycle Superstore.
Yeah, and I'll get on the I'll shoot an email off to the guys at Fantasy Action Sports League, and we do have that for weekly winners. You guys are going to get a surprise in the mail, but if you had the highest points total, we do have some gift cards for you. They don't want to give out direct to me addresses, which I understand. It's all about privacy, right?
Yeah.
So they have to kind of go through the people, and then so we've got to have an intermediary. We will get those out. Sorry for some of you that won in the beginning weeks, but those are there, and we'll get them sorted out by the end of Supercross. I promise everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And, huge grand prize. We've already talked about fans are getting, whoever wins this league wins a set of KMC wheels. I've been on there searching, just kind of looking through the styles, but I want you guys to tweet at me your favorite set of KMC wheels. I kind of want to see, who likes what and what if there's a favorite set out there, style, whatever, because I'm looking to update my truck too, so I need a little bit of help. What do you guys think would look good on a Danger Ranger? And you can help. So tweet at me at Ami Houde 71 and let me know your favorite style of KMC wheels.
Yeah, we're already getting you linked up with a new set of General tires for the hot rods. So I guess we got to get some KMC wheels over there as well and really get you decked out, right?
Not exactly a commodity. I have one tire that keeps going flat every 2 days. I have to fill it up. And my other one, I ran over a giant bolt, and I have a plug holding it together right now. So I actually need these. These are a necessity because I don't know how I'm driving every day.
Yeah, I got to say, you sent me a picture, and I'm like, holy crap, how did that thing – I mean, I don't know how the tire's still holding there, to be honest with you.
I have no idea. I think my dad probably just put some duct tape and super glue on it, and it's good to go.
Yeah. Is that is that like a little Canadian home remedy your dad's got or something that he's going to let the rest of us in on, how to patch a tire?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think duct tape is his favorite tool in the toolbox. Funny story, when I was a kid, I was always so embarrassed because I have this thing for lawn darting, that's crashing head first. Anytime I'd fall down, even if I just tip over in a corner, it would always be head first and I would break my visor. So every one of my childhood motocross helmets has a big old strip of duct tape holding the visor down, and I'm not kidding. I can send a photo because I have them all in my helmet trophy case. I have 4 helmets with duct tape holding it in. So my dad thought it'd be fun to get a whole bunch of colored duct tape, like neon pink and I don't know, some weird design camo kind of thing, and then the classic checkerboard duct tape. It's just ridiculous, and I was so embarrassed when I was little, and he's like, no, just keep it on there. It looks cool. I'm like, oh, gosh, Dad. But, yeah, he loves duct tape.
Well, I got to tell you, I was in, I don't know if it was Home Depot, Lowe's, one of those home improvement stores not too long ago, and I was in one of the aisles, and they literally have a duct tape aisle now, right? And you go in there, and like you said, yeah, they've got, hot pinks, oranges, they've got camo, leopard print, chrome duct tape. It was seriously, yeah. I was like, holy crap, I didn't, I guess you could, paint your whole truck with duct tape if you wanted. I don't know. I was impressed. I guess I'm out of the loop in the duct tape world.
Well, Ami Houde's garage is also a shopping aisle full of duct tape. Any color or style you need, we have it. And by all means, my dad uses it for everything. So,
note to self:
if I get your free duct tape.
Yeah, note to self: if I need duct tape, get a hold of the Houdes, right?
Well, it's really funny because, I just moved out, so I just bought myself a house in December, and I actually I bought a shop because my garage is bigger than my house. An old moto head, car guy I bought the house off of, long-time family friend. But yeah, he built this huge shop. I have a loft in it, a huge kind of industrial garage, like cast iron garage door, crazy. The thing is massive. But I can't wait to, we're just cleaning it out right now and getting it all ready now that spring's here. But I can't wait to have a nice little shop in there. And there's my dad this weekend. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to bring this over and put this in your garage. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is my garage. I got to start fresh because his garage looks like somebody threw up in it. But it's organized chaos. He knows where everything is, but no one else does. So I just don't want him to take over my garage. I'm already worried about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, man, Amy just bought me a storage facility.
He did. Honestly. He has more plans for my garage than I do, so geez. I guess I kind of owe it to him after all these years. So.
Yeah. Well, it's too funny because you talk about that in in a garage and bigger in the house. And, I got over the summer or over the winter, I went up to Levi LaValle's compound. And now obviously he's got a wife and, and a kid now and stuff like that. So he got a beautiful house on a lake, right? Well, Levi built his compound. He's literally got a bunch of acres where he's got ramps and a foam pit and everything else, right? Well, when he was single, bachelor in the day. So he goes, honestly, he's like, I built this huge garage, and then right off the back, there's one little bedroom with a teeny tiny bathroom with a little kitchenette, and then he's got a gym right next to it. And he's like, this is like my bachelor pad. And I'm looking around, and it's literally like, I mean, there's no living, there's enough room for a bed and, and a TV, and that's about it. And he had a gym there, and the gym was bigger than the bedroom. And then he's got this whole huge race shop there for all their snowmobiles. And I just laughed, and I'm like, you talking about that. I'm like, I was totally Levi LaValle. And then he met his wife, who's an amazing person, and they've got this beautiful kid now. But I just laughed because, that's the mindset of racers. We can skimp on the living quarters. We need a big garage.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, we're just, any racer is a diehard racer, and they're totally thinking moto or, racing first. And it's funny, though, because as a girl, there's not too many women who kind of adopt that full-blown, like, everything and anything has to be race-related. But it's funny because when you walk into my house, instead of art, I have jerseys on the wall. I bought this nice little, rinky-dinky, it's supposed to be a case to hold your collectibles or whatever, but, well, no, I put my helmets in there, and I bought 2 of them because they're awesome. And everything in my house, decorative-wise, is dirt bike related, and I'm planning on making a coffee table out of some sprockets and a glass top. So I'm working on that now, but everything I try to think of is like, what could be cool? That's out of a dirt bike part, or I have this old Ford in the back of my house that actually the owner had left there, and I'm really trying to get him to leave it because it looks like the back of the truck would be the perfect flower bed, and it'd be so pretty, and it'd be in the back of this old kind of vintage Ford. Oh, it'd be so cool. But yeah, I don't know. I totally adopt that whole racer mindset too with my house and now my shop that's bigger than the house.
Well, and
I love it.
You've got it really, really bad when the TV in the shop is nicer than the one that's in the living room.
Yes, definitely.
So I guess we should probably get to talking about some Supercross, although, there's not a lot to talk about. Dungey, Marvin, I mean, these guys are on a roll, Amy. I mean, what can you say? I think they've both, out of the last 5 rounds, they've both finished first in 4 of them, and both of them got second in the one they didn't win. I mean, these guys are just dialed.
No, honestly, the Red Bull KTM team is just on fire. Marvin and Dungey are just a step above the rest. And this weekend was pretty cool because not only did they have, they both had the fastest qualifying time, they both won their heat race, and then they both won a main event. And like you said, that's the 5th time in a row. That's pretty huge. That's, almost one for the record books. I don't think that's been done before in Supercross. But, I really did enjoy this race this weekend. Lots of passing. I think the 450 class was full of action. It was really fun to watch. There's a good battle going on between Pike, Seeley, Tomac, and Anderson, and that's what I love to see. I love to see the passes. I love to see, a big group battle action to the end, and it was some really good racing this weekend at St. Louis. But yeah, it's coming to an end. Supercross is totally leaning down, and the 2 top runners are just out front and killing it, and I don't think that they are going to be stoppable. They are on a roll, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, it's like we do our picks every week, and, last week, one of the fans who is awesome and is always tweeting us, hey, what are your picks, and talking Supercross on Twitter, and I picked Chad Reed, and I try and look, obviously Dungey's the easy choice at this point, and yeah. I don't think it would surprise anybody if he won out, to be honest with you. But I try and look outside of the box with Chad Reed, but at this point, it's even tough to look outside of the box. I mean, Dungey is so ridiculously dialed right now.
No, definitely. And same with Marvin. I mean, they're so consistent, and that's not what you see from any of these other riders. Like, they're kind of pushing their limits, and as soon as you kind of, bring on that pressure, riders are starting to make mistakes, and they're riding outside their comfort zone. But Marvin and Dungey are just dialed and they're so smooth, and they don't even have to worry about anybody behind them. So they just have a nice, smooth race. They're, battling themselves basically, and that's sometimes the best way to pull a win out of you is just, not having to worry about anybody else but yourself. So, they are extremely, extremely dialed this year for sure, I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean, even when, I think it was in the main that, Dungey didn't get the whole shot. I believe, what was it, Andrew Short that got the whole shot? He made it 2 corners, and the pressure from Dungey was too much, and he balled it up. It's crazy, and then Marvin, I mean, he, on the gate, he literally missed the gate, and he still ended up coming out of the first corner front. It was just, his timing was way off, and somehow he still managed to walk away with a whole shot.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, so far, though, we're so far into the season right now, and they've won so many rounds. It's all about confidence. Even if they make a little mistake, they know that they are the top guy and the fastest guy out there, and that's huge for your confidence. And that, they don't ever have to second guess anything. They just know that they belong in that first place position, and that they're just going to do whatever it takes to get there. And a lot of times, when I'm racing, and I'm at a track where I don't really know what my competition's like, I know there's some faster guys out there. I kind of sometimes second guess myself because I know I'm not the fastest, or, I know there's more people similar to my speed. So I'm more of a cautious rider, kind of watching what I do and not capitalizing right away on something. But when I go to a track where I know that I'm the fastest, even if I screw up, I kind of have this in the back of my head that, hey, I'm out here to win. I know I'm going to win, so let's just get up there right away and cruise control. So sometimes, knowing that you're the fastest guy out there helps a lot for your confidence and being consistent. So yeah, they kind of have that in the bag right now.
Yeah. Well, and one takeaway I saw, and it was a podium interview with Jason Anderson. He was so stoked on that third place finish, and I guess he feels like they're finally there. They're finally where they can start taking podiums. But it was just an interesting take. I mean, he was so excited with that third, you know what I mean? And I think he's won the next couple of rounds. We may see him consistently on the podium because he was pretty confident with that third place finish.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, at the beginning of the season, Jason was one of my top picks every weekend because he's, a great person and on a great team. And, I felt so bad for him. He had 2 back-to-back worst races in his career last weekend and the week before. So, the fact that he's able to put it all together now finally is great. I love to see that because, it's make or break. A bad race can make or break you. It can ruin your confidence, ruin your chances of having a strong rest of the season. That's what happened to Jeremy Martin last year. 2-3 bad starts, and it just killed his whole rest of his season. And Jason started out of the gate really strong with a 3rd place at the first round at A1. And then, just kind of a slow trickle downhill from there, and with 2 terrible races and a lot of really, really nasty crashes so far this season as well. I am just really happy to see him pull it all together. It gives me a lot of hope for him going into outdoors.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. And I think, another takeaway, Eli Tomac, 2nd place. Eli's one of those that, going into the season, we thought he'd be competing for a championship and obviously, 2nd there. But I think he's finishing Supercross on a high note. I think going into the outdoors, he's definitely one to watch.
Oh, definitely. And Eli Tomac is an animal outdoors. He's just on a whole new level. That guy is crazy. So I can't wait to see him outdoors this year. But, let's talk about Cole Seeley for a second. With Trey Kennard, unfortunately, being out this year, and he's hoping to be back for the beginning of outdoors, but that's a little bit of a nasty injury. He had to get surgery last week, so he has a little bit of 4 to 6 week recovery time there. But, I'd like to see him be able to line up for Hangtown. But Seeley he's in the running to finish 3rd overall in the series for his rookie year in a 450. That's huge. Cole Seeley's kind of this underdog who's always been a top rider, but we don't realize that he's a rookie. This is his first full year on the 450. So, I could see Seeley being the next Ryan Dungey for sure. Give him a year to get his feet wet and, get a full season in 450 outdoors, and I think he's going to just blow everybody out of the water next year come Supercross.
Yeah, I think next year, looking at what we've seen, obviously Dungey is going to be the favorite going into outdoors and going into next year's Supercross. But a lot of these riders, I mean, it's been pretty interesting. I mean, I think the field's stepped up this year with Villapoto, moving on. I think the field's definitely stepped up.
Oh, definitely. There's not just one. I mean, obviously Dungey is a step above the rest, but the playing field behind him is so stacked. I mean, you got Seeley, Roxon. We can't rule out Roxon. He's had an injury, but he's the one who's been, he's had some wins this year so far, and he can come back next year more matured as a rider, more smarter, more consistent. He is definitely going to be a guy on fire. But we got, Pike, Seeley, Tomac, Anderson. Give all these guys a couple more years in the 450s, and they're all going to be battling for number one, not just third and fourth. So, with Villapoto out, all these other guys know that they have an opportunity to win the championship, and they're all going to be fighting. So I think 2016 Supercross is going to be unreal. I can't wait.
Yeah. And, talking about, these guys, obviously 4 rounds left. They've got a weekend off here, for Easter this coming weekend. What did these guys do? 4 rounds left. I mean, what are they doing with a weekend off? I mean, finally getting a break. It's been a long, grueling season. I mean, what do these guys do, on this week off, Amy?
There's no week off. I mean, these guys are training till the sun comes up. That's the thing about Supercross is, in motocross and any type of physically demanding sport, you take a week off, you're a week behind. When, you're not training, someone else is. This is such these are elite level of athletes that there is no time off. I mean, when there's a little bit of break between the season or when the season's over, that's when you get into the mindset, okay, let's take a little break. But, it's game time from now until Vegas. And so these guys are on their game every day. So that just shows the level, that motocross is at.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, such an elite level right now, and it's been interesting to see the progression. And I wanted to quick talk about Dungey one more time because they aired something on TV, and I screenshotted it. And, with my phone, but I want to bring it up because, we've talked a lot about Dungey this year. In the beginning, he kind of didn't have that fire, and obviously he's got it now. But all-time wins, 250, 450 class. We're talking 250s when it was two-stroke, right? Jeremy McGrath, 72. James Bubba Stewart, 50. Ricky Carmichael, 48. Chad Reed at 44. He's 4th all-time. Then you get to Villapoto. But Ryan Dungey, he's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8th on the list with 20 wins, tied with Jeff Ward. But, he's one of the top 10 riders of all time. This list, we're talking all Hall of Famers. Ricky Johnson, Villapoto, Chad Reed's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Carmichael, Stewart, McGrath. I mean, he's an elite company.
And he's 23 years old. He's not like some of those other guys who, are well-aged in the sport. He's young. He has so many years left, I think, under his belt that, he can maybe surpass some of these other guys with these, lifetime titles. I would not put it past him if he could, claim one of the highest titles so far. I mean, he's really consistent. He's not had too many, bad injuries that's been hindering him. He's a really consistent guy, and he rides smart. I love James Stewart. He's an awesome rider, but he's kind of always out of control. So he makes some dumb decisions and dumb choices and, winds up missing out a whole season. So, Dungey has the opportunity to be one of the greatest of all time that we see in motocross, and I wouldn't put it past him if he doesn't want to make that happen.
Yeah, well, and the thing about Dungey you got to love, it seems like all these guys, they have some kind of drama swirling around them. Dungey keeps his nose clean. I mean, his head down, his nose clean. You never hear anything written bad about him. You never hear him in any of the headlines of doing something wrong or out doing this or that. I mean, he literally he's a class act guy, and it's all about winning races.
Yeah, no, he's the good old American Minnesota boy. Like, everybody loves Dungey. You can't not like him. He's a great person, comes from a good family. He's grown up in the sport. A lot of people knew him when he was on 80s and when he was making his first debut at Millville. years ago there. Like, everybody likes him. Everybody likes following his journey and his story. And the fact that he is he represents the sport well with his image and, how he talks on the podium. He sounds intelligent. He's a great sportsman. He just brings the full package to racing, and he's definitely one of my favorite riders of all time, and he always will be. I think he's going to go really far.
Yeah, I agree. I think, talking about him being only 23, I mean, I can only imagine 5-6 years down the road, what we're going to be talking about wins-wise and championships-wise.
I know.
It's insane. If he can stay healthy, I mean, I really think this early in his career, I mean, even if his career, just 8-10 more years, I mean, we don't know at this point, but, it's crazy to think what he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to see who's going to be the next guy. I mean, obviously Ken Roczen is right there, but what 250 rider is going to, make that jump to 450s and just be the next force to be reckoned with? So I think that would be Cooper Webb.
Yeah,
I really do. He's young. He's cleaning up in 250s at a really young age, and that just kind of sets the path for his 450 career.
Yeah. Well, and what do you take? I know they've interviewed James Bubba Stewart a bit. I mean, he's been staying pretty quiet. Since all the everything went swirling about him and the drug uses and Adderall or whatever at this point. But he's been training a lot. I mean, it sounds like this guy is dedicated. He's on the bike, and I think when we finally do see him back, I mean, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be tough.
No, definitely. And I think he's really choosing the right way. I mean, the best way to deal with drama is to not deal with it at all. Completely, you just remove yourself from everything. Stay quiet, stay low. Once you start to put your own input onto it, then the story kind of just gets twisted. So, he's doing the best thing by laying low and not really getting involved. And I applaud him for that. I mean, that must be really hard, I can imagine. And if anybody talks crap about me, the first thing I want to do is be like, but it takes a big person to just, sit there and take it like a man and, just focus on himself and focus on training. And no, I definitely think he's going to be a force to reckon with. But, taking a whole season off, he is not able to compete with all these other guys and these up-and-comers and, the Weston Pikes and Cole Seelys and stuff. So, sometimes that's a big a hinder coming into the next season because you have all these, top guys that he's had no, riding experience with. So, well, I guess, we'll have to see. But I don't think he's going to be cleaning up the pack anytime soon, that's for sure. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, and I'm getting actually this one in a tweet. This is a text as we speak. But my good friend Ken Anktil, he's a mechanic for Ken Block. He listens to the show religiously at the Hoonigan Racing Shop there in Park City. But he's texting me. He's like, you can't forget about Adam Cianciarulo. And Adam. I mean, this kid. I think the sky's the limit for him.
Oh, for sure. I really hope Adam stays healthy. He is an outstanding rider, outstanding person. I love this kid to death. He's a really, really cool personality. But he is, again, one of those people who is going to change the game for motocross because of his personality, because of, he's an extremely well-rounded person. He's extremely intelligent, can speak really well. And, when you see him in the pits, he stops and talks to everybody, and he's all over social media, bringing, life to the series. And it's just what our sport needs. Like, he's a personality for racing. When you adopt a job as a professional athlete, you are becoming a character and, a personality. And, being able to bring that out and be basically a spokesperson for the sport is huge. And, Ken Roczen and Jason Anderson, Cooper Webb, and Adam Cianciarulo do a great job of marketing our sport, just through their social medias and Instagrams and, their podium interviews. It really shows a lot, about what motocross has to offer. And I hate seeing guys up there, not being able to put a sentence together and being able to speak well about, racing and not being sportsmanship it's just, I hate that. And when I see guys like Adam and all them being able to put it all together, it's just, it's what our sport needs to be able to move forward. So, and bring on those corporate sponsors and everything. Motocross, it has a lot of kids who have not finished high school. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen it more often than not, and parents put all their eggs in the basket thinking their kid's going to be the next Jeremy McGrath, and things don't work out, and parents have mortgaged their house over, and the kid doesn't have a high school diploma, and we've seen that train wreck too many times.
Yeah, so, kids like Adam Cinderello really, pave the way and, hopefully leave a good impression on other kids who are wanting to, make it in the industry and, can follow these guys' lead on how they market themselves and how they speak and, and also how they ride, because the kid's on fire, and, I just really hope he stays healthy this year. Because he's a little guy. I mean, he's really tall. He's hit his growth spurt, but he's still, a skinnier guy. So he's been training with Alden Baker and all those other top riders, Ken Roxon, and, well, I guess Ken Roxon's not with Alden anymore, but Jason Anderson and who else is he? I mean, Marvin Muscan. But, he's just got to put it all together, gain a little bit of weight, and he'll be consistent. I mean, outdoors is really, really gnarly. So I think Adam is, I don't know if he's more of a supercross rider or outdoors rider. I really have no idea. He hasn't really had a full season under his belt in either series, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely need to wait and see with him, and I think that's a good spot to leave on. But appreciate you taking the time to call in once again, Amy, and no Supercross this weekend, so we're going to have to think of something fun to do next week during your segment.
We will, definitely. Well, I'm hoping I can get out riding. I actually have a power sports show that I'll be signing autographs and having my nice, pretty bike on display, and I'm hopefully going to be getting together my motocross school tour that I'm planning. So, yeah, I've got lots of stuff I'm working on, but I'm really hoping to get out to a track this weekend, hopefully on Sunday or something. But it is Easter weekend here, and I will be diving my face into lots of turkey and chicken and hanging out with the grandparents and my family. So, it'll be a good weekend here in Canada for sure.
All right. Awesome, Amy. Well, we will talk to you next Monday on air, and have a great Easter weekend.
Yeah, you too. And if you guys have any ideas on what you'd like to hear about, the two-wheel side of the world, tweet at me. I'd like to know what you guys want to hear next week. So, hit me up and have a great day, guys.
All right. Thanks, Amy. All right. That was Ami Houde calling in, talking some Supercross, some motocross, and a little bit of everything. And, we are definitely running overtime. It's over 2 hours, so we need to wrap things up. Upcoming events, Supercross in a couple of weeks. Got some Formula Drift, Lucas Oil, Torque, Baja Sur, the Score Series going down to southern Mexico and their southern Baja Stadium Super Trucks. Got Winter Terracross coming up, some World Rally Championship here in a few weeks. I know I got those dates wrong last week, thinking it was a March event. Right days, just wrong month. Yeah, so WRC next month, into next month, we'll definitely have full coverage of that as we get closer. Big shout out to Polaris Razor, General Tire, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, UPR.com, Blue Water Resort and Casino, Wakeboard Island, J-Mar Performance Brakes, KMC Wheels like no other, Parker Motor Company, Gibson Exhaust, MTX Audio, the official audio partner of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and Intense Tees. Give me a follow at JimBeaver15 on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Down and Dirty Show or DownandDirtyShow.com for all your back episodes. And to find out all the places the Down and Dirty Radio Show airs, feel free to download our app, available on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon Kindle store. And as always, tweet me at JimBeaver15 and let me know your picks for Supercross, your picks for anything, any guests you want on air, or just, what you ate for dinner. I don't care. Just send me a tweet. Let me know. And it's been a great week. Thanks to Tanner Foust, Ami Houde, Corry Weller, and all of you for listening in each and every week. We'll be back next week with another great show on a Monday. Have a great Easter weekend. And as always, game on.